There comes a moment when she finally realizes what she lost, but it doesn't happen suddenly. It's a slow awakening, a gradual unfolding of truth that time forces her to face. In the beginning, she didn't see your worth, not because you were invisible, but because she was blinded by familiarity. She got used to your presence, your patience, your energy always being there for her. She thought that no matter what she did, you'd always be there, ready to forgive, ready to listen, ready to love. And because she believed your heart was endless, she stopped valuing what it took for you to give it so selflessly. But reality has a way of revealing what the heart once ignored, and now she's beginning to feel that shift deep within her. When you walked away, it didn't register at first. She thought it was just another silent phase, another emotional test, something temporary. She assumed you'd break the silence like before, that you'd show up with the same love and reassurance she once took for granted. But this time you didn't. And that's when something started to change inside her. Slowly, she started to notice the difference, the missing energy, the missing care, the missing you. Suddenly, the world didn't feel as bright, as safe, or as stable as it once did when you were around. At first, she tried to fill that space with distractions, people, noise, attention, anything that could make her forget. But none of it hit the same. None of it carried the same authenticity that you had. You see, there's something powerful about genuine energy. It can't be copied or replaced. No matter how hard she tries to recreate it, the feeling never returns. And that's when the truth begins to set in that she didn't lose someone ordinary, she lost someone who truly cared. That realization doesn't come easy. It's a quiet kind of pain, the kind that creeps in during moments of solitude. It comes at night when the noise fades, when the people are gone, and when her mind finally stops pretending she's fine. That's when your memory becomes loud again. She starts to remember the little things, the way you listened without judgment, the way you supported her, even when she doubted herself, the way you stayed when others would have left. And now, those moments that once felt ordinary start to feel irreplaceable. That's the cruel irony of human nature. We often realize the value of something only after it's gone. But this time, it's not just regret she feels, it's recognition. For the first time, she sees you for who you truly were, the constant she overlooked, the peace she disturbed, the love she mishandled. You were never the one who lacked worth. You were simply the one who loved too deeply in a world that didn't know how to appreciate depth. And now that depth is haunting her. She's starting to see how rare it was to be truly understood, how few people actually care the way you did. That's the beginning of her awakening, the point where her pride starts to crumble and her soul begins to whisper, I messed up. It's a realization that hits harder than any argument because it's no longer about emotion, it's about truth. And that truth will sit with her quietly every time she wonders why her heart doesn't feel the same anymore. Because what she lost wasn't just a person, it was a presence and energy, a kind of love that doesn't come twice. Because sometimes it takes losing someone real to finally understand what you were truly holding on to. When she begins to understand what she's lost, it doesn't just hit her mind, it hits her ego. At first, she resists it. She tells herself she's fine. She repeats to her friends that she's better off. She posts pictures trying to prove that her life is perfect without you. But deep down, the silence is echoing louder than ever. That confidence she used to show starts to fade when she realizes that no matter how much attention she gets, none of it fills that void you left behind. Because the truth is, the connection you shared wasn't built on surface level attraction or temporary excitement. It had depth, substance, and emotional gravity. And once she loses that kind of connection, no distraction can make her forget. You see, in the beginning, she believed walking away meant freedom. She thought the world outside your presence would feel lighter. That without the emotional investment, she'd finally be at peace. But freedom without fulfillment quickly turns into emptiness. She starts to notice how empty conversations feel with other people, how forced her laughter becomes, how hollow attention starts to sound. It's not that she suddenly misses every little thing, it's that she realizes no one else makes her feel seen the way you did. You didn't just listen, you understood. You didn't just show up, you were consistent. And now, when she looks around, she sees how rare that truly was. Her pride tries to fight it. She tells herself not to think about you, not to check your social media, not to wonder what you're doing, but she does anyway. She's curious if you've moved on, if you still think of her, if that same spark still exists somewhere. But when she sees you at peace, when she notices you're not chasing her anymore, that's when it really starts to sting. Because the one thing she never expected was for you to find your power again. The one thing she thought she could count on was your emotional dependence. And now that you've detached, she feels the imbalance she once created. That silence you gave her, the one she thought was weakness, becomes your greatest strength. Every day you stay focused on your growth. Every moment you stay calm instead of reacting, you reclaim the control she once had. And with each passing day, she begins to feel that shift. What was once her confidence begins to turn into doubt. What was once her certainty begins to feel like confusion. She starts to replay the last conversations, the last messages, the moments she dismissed you, and slowly regret begins to take root. The turning point comes when she realizes you're no longer the same person she walked away from. The energy has changed. You're no longer waiting for her call or watching her moves. You're living again, smiling again, succeeding again. And the irony, that's when she becomes drawn to you the most. Because women feel energy, and when yours turns inward, when your focus shifts from her to your own evolution, she feels it deeply. She starts to crave your attention again, not because she suddenly found clarity, but because your silence exposed her truth, that she never had control over your value, only access to it. Now she sees what you meant, what you stood for, what kind of man you truly were. The man she once thought would always be available has become the man she can no longer reach so easily. That realization changes everything. It humbles her, shakes her confidence, and forces her to reflect on her choices. And when that reflection turns into longing, that's when she starts to come back, not because she needs validation, but because she finally understands what she took for granted. Because in the end, silence is not the absence of love, it's the sound of self respect. And that silence is what finally makes her remember who you truly are. When she finally understands what she's lost, the weight of that realization doesn't come all at once. It creeps in slowly, like the quiet after a storm. It starts with small moments she can't ignore anymore. When a song reminds her of you, when she hears someone laugh the way you used to make her laugh, or when she catches herself reaching for her phone only to remember you're no longer there. These moments chip away at the wall she built to protect her ego. She begins to see that the peace she thought she'd find by walking away was nothing more than temporary noise, distractions, attention, and fleeting validation that never truly satisfied her heart. Because at some point, every woman realizes that connection isn't easily replaced, especially when it came from a man who truly saw her for who she was. And this is the phase where her emotions begin to battle her pride. Her mind tells her to stay silent, to stay strong, to pretend she's moved on, but her heart whispers otherwise. It starts to miss the comfort of your presence, the way you brought stability into her chaos, the way you always knew how to make her feel understood without judgment. That's something most men can't replicate, and she knows it. The conversations with new people feel shallow, forced, lacking authenticity. The attention she gets may boost her ego for a moment, but it doesn't touch her soul. Slowly, that contrast starts to burn in her mind. She can't help but compare, and every comparison leads back to you. This is where your silence and detachment begin to work in ways you couldn't even imagine. The very space she once demanded starts to suffocate her. The freedom she thought she wanted begins to feel like loneliness. And every time she checks your social media or hears about your progress, it twists something inside her, not because she hates seeing you happy, but because she realizes she's no longer part of that happiness. You've evolved into someone stronger, calmer, more confident, and that transformation makes her question everything she believed when she walked away. She starts to wonder if she made a mistake, if she misjudged your worth, and if it's already too late to fix what she broke. What's most powerful in this stage is the quiet regret that builds in her. It's not loud or dramatic, it's subtle but relentless. She'll find herself reminiscing about your energy, your patience, your presence. The very things she once overlooked now become the things she craves. That's when nostalgia starts turning into longing. She'll start to feel the imbalance. You're at peace moving forward while she's stuck trying to fill a void she can't explain. That's when her heart begins to crack open to the truth she's been avoiding. She didn't just lose a person, she lost a man who genuinely cared, who added depth and meaning to her life. And as this realization grows, she'll start testing the waters. Maybe a like on your post, maybe a random text out of nowhere, maybe asking mutual friends about you, not because she's ready to admit everything yet, but because she's trying to see if the door is still open. Her ego won't let her fully confess her regret at first, but her actions will start to show it. She'll try to feel your energy again, to sense if you still care, because that connection still lives within her, no matter how much she denies it. This is the turning point, the moment when she truly starts missing you, not from loneliness, but from awareness. The truth hits, she thought she could replace you, but what she really did was remove the one person who saw her soul. And now that realization eats at her in silence, making her question if she'll ever find someone like you again. Because in the end, every woman who walks away from a man of true value eventually faces that mirror of regret. She realizes too late that she didn't just lose someone who loved her, she lost someone who would have stood by her no matter what. And that's when she starts to come back, not because you begged, but because she finally understands that the peace she's been searching for was with you all along. There comes a point when she can no longer run from the truth that you were the calm in her chaos, the stability in her confusion, and the one man who brought her a sense of safety she never appreciated when she had it. After the noise fades, after the distractions lose their thrill, she starts to feel an emptiness she can't quite name. She might go out, meet new people, try to convince herself that she's fine, but deep down, something always feels off. It's because what she lost wasn't just a man, it was an energy, a presence, a bond that reached deeper than the surface. And when that kind of connection is gone, nothing else seems to measure up. As time passes, that realization hits harder. The things she once thought annoyed her about you now become the very, very things she misses. The way you challenged her, the way you stayed calm when she was emotional, the way you listened when she didn't even know how to explain what she was feeling, those are the memories that start haunting her. She starts to see the difference between someone who wanted her body and someone who understood her mind. And once that awareness sets in, it begins to unravel her. Because while she might have been the one who walked away, she's now the one being haunted by what she threw away. Her pride will try to protect her, to tell her it's just nostalgia, that it's just comfort she misses. But the truth runs deeper. She starts to replay the moments in her mind, trying to pinpoint when things shifted, when she stopped appreciating your efforts. That self reflection can be painful for her because it forces her to face her own choices, to admit that the man she thought would always be there is no longer available at her convenience. She can't just call and expect you to come running anymore. That realization stings in a way that no argument or breakup ever could. It's the pain of knowing she misjudged your value, and now she's watching from a distance as you grow into the version of yourself she once dreamed you'd become. That's the irony. She left when she thought you were replaceable, and now she's realizing that your absence is irreplaceable. Every new person she talks to makes her appreciate what she once had with you even more. The effortless comfort, the emotional depth, the sense of being understood without needing to explain herself, it's gone. She may try to find it again, but what she discovers instead is that those kinds of connections are rare, and that rarity makes her restless. She'll begin to wonder if you've already moved on, if someone else now gets to experience the best version of you, the man she helped shape but never got to keep. That thought alone can eat away at her because it forces her to accept the consequences of her choices. She'll start to see that while she was focused on temporary feelings, you were building something lasting: growth, discipline, and peace. You didn't crumble when she left, you evolved. And that evolution becomes the very thing that makes her realize how deeply she underestimated your strength. This is when curiosity turns into longing. She'll start looking for you in subtle ways, maybe checking your profiles, maybe trying to bring you up in conversations, maybe sending a harmless message just to see how you're doing. But beneath those small gestures is a much bigger truth. She's not reaching out because she misses being loved. She's reaching out because she misses who she was when she was loved by you. You made her feel grounded, understood, and safe. And once she realizes that no one else gives her that same peace, her heart starts to crave what her pride told her to walk away from. And that's when her regret becomes real. It's not about missing a routine or familiar face. It's about recognizing that she lost something deeper, something built on trust, loyalty, and genuine care. When that awareness fully sinks in, it humbles her. The silence that once felt empowering now becomes unbearable. The distance that once gave her freedom now feels like punishment. And suddenly, the man she thought would break first turns out to be the man she can't stop thinking about. Because in the end, the hardest truth for her to face isn't that she lost you, it's that you didn't lose yourself when she left. And that's exactly what makes her want you back more than ever. By the time she finally decides to come back, something inside her has shifted. She's no longer the same woman who left so confidently, thinking she had better options, thinking you'd always be waiting. Life has a way of humbling people when they act from ego, and her journey away from you has been full of quiet lessons. The excitement she once chased has turned into disappointment. The freedom she thought she wanted now feels empty. And the faces she's met along the way, no matter how charming or new, all start to blend together because none of them could offer what you did: depth, consistency, and authenticity. She begins to see that while she was searching for something better, what she really lost was the one person who gave her something real. The thing about genuine connection is that it never truly leaves you. Even when you move on, even when you try to bury it under distractions or new experiences, it lingers. It's the standard against which everything else is measured. And for her, that standard was you. The calm in your voice, the strength in your boundaries, the comfort in your silence, these are the things that begin to echo in her mind long after you're gone. She starts to see how rare your presence was, how much peace you carried, and how your quiet confidence wasn't a weakness, but a power she failed to understand at the time. But now she understands, she's seen what's out there, and she's realized how hard it is to find someone who doesn't play games, who doesn't need validation, who doesn't chase. You see, what once made her take you for granted, your stability, your emotional control, your refusal to beg for her attention, are now the very things that make her want you back. Because while she was looking for excitement, what she found was instability. While she thought she wanted space, she discovered loneliness. And now, when she thinks of you, it's not just nostalgia, it's recognition. She finally recognizes your worth. She'll start testing the waters in small ways. A message that seems innocent, a casual like on a post, maybe even a random excuse to start a conversation. She'll try to gauge if the door is still open, if you still think about her the way she's been thinking about you. But what she won't admit, at least not yet, is that she's nervous. She's afraid that you've grown past her, that you've become stronger, calmer, and more selective. Because deep down, she knows she's no longer returning to the same version of you she left behind. You've evolved, you've learned to find peace in solitude. You've learned that your worth isn't defined by who chooses you, it's defined by how you choose yourself. And that's what makes her return so powerful yet so uncertain. She's coming back not to the man who once needed her, but to the man who no longer does. She feels the shift, the change in your energy, the way you carry yourself, the way you no longer chase validation, that confidence, that indifference. It draws her in more than any words ever could. Because what she left was a man in love, but what she's returning to is a man in control of himself. And that difference terrifies and attracts her at the same time. But here's the thing: her coming back doesn't automatically mean she deserves a place again. Sometimes her return isn't meant to restart what was lost, it's meant to remind you how far you've come. You see, her regret isn't your responsibility. Her realization isn't your burden to carry. It's proof of your growth, of your strength, of your ability to rise above rejection and become someone better, not for her, but for yourself. And now, as she stands there, uncertain and vulnerable, she's not just seeing the man she left, she's seeing the man she could never replace. That's when she truly understands what she lost, because she didn't just lose love, she lost her mirror, the one that reflected her potential, her peace, and her worth. And while she may come back hoping to reclaim it, the truth is she's returning to a version of you that doesn't need saving, doesn't need closure, and doesn't need her validation anymore. She's coming back because she finally sees what she could have built with you. But now it's your choice whether you let her back in or let her see that your silence was never weakness, was transformation. When she finally comes back, she expects the old version of you, the man who waited, the man who would have dropped everything just to hear from her again, the man who once made her feel like she had all the control. But this time, she's met with someone different, Someone calm, grounded, and untouchable. You're no longer emotionally reactive. You've stopped letting her words or her presence dictate how you feel. You've learned that peace isn't found in someone else's validation, but in mastering your emotions, and that realization changes everything. She can sense it immediately in the way you talk, the way you hold eye contact, the way you seem completely content without her. It's not arrogance, it's self respect. That unshakable energy unsettles her more than anything else, because before she knew your weak spots, she knew that a simple message or a flash of affection could pull you back in. But now it's different. You're not playing games, you're not chasing, and you're not even trying to impress her. You're simply being. You've detached emotionally, not because you stopped caring, but because you learned how to care without losing yourself. That's the kind of emotional maturity most people never reach. And when she feels that shift, it triggers something deep inside her. She starts realizing that what once gave her a sense of power, your emotional attachment, is gone, and with it, her control. You see, emotional detachment doesn't mean apathy. It's not coldness or lack of feeling. It's power. It's knowing that you can love someone deeply without surrendering your peace in the process. It's understanding that love should never be an obsession, and that if someone walks away, your world doesn't crumble, it simply refocuses. And when she comes back, that's what she sees, a man who rebuilt himself from the ground up, not to win her back, but to become the best version of himself. That evolution is magnetic. It commands respect, it earns admiration, but most importantly, it restores your balance. She begins to feel something she hasn't felt in a long time: uncertainty. For the first time, she wonders if you still want her, if you even see her the same way, or if she's now the one chasing something she can't have. The roles have reversed, and the silence that once scared you now scares her. The man who used to overthink her absence now moves through life like he's free. The one who once waited for her texts now leaves them unread. And every little sign of your detachment reminds her of the strengths she underestimated. But this transformation isn't about revenge or proving a point. It's about reclaiming your identity. It's about breaking the pattern of emotional dependency that once made you vulnerable, because when you no longer react, you become unpredictable. When you stop trying to control outcomes, you become unstoppable. And when you stop chasing, you start attracting effortlessly. That's the paradox she's now trapped in. The more you pull away emotionally, the more she's drawn back in, the more at peace you become, the more restless she feels. It's the natural consequence of emotional balance. It draws in those who once took it for granted. So when she returns, let her see the difference. Let her feel the power of your growth. You don't need to prove that you've moved on. Your energy already does that for you. You don't need to explain how you've changed. Your presence speaks louder than any words ever could. Because what once was an emotional battlefield has now become a space of quiet strength. You've learned that walking away with dignity will always echo louder than chasing someone who didn't see your worth the first time. And in that silence, she'll finally realize that while she may be coming back for what she lost, you're no longer waiting for what left. You've evolved beyond needing her validation. You found peace and detachment. And that's when the true shift happens, not because she wants you back, but because you no longer need her to.